Hello everyone and welcome to this week's short commentary. This will be part 31 from the top 50 brevities that was published in the periodical Qiyi back in 2007 and 2008. This will be part 31. Red will be Grandmaster Lv Qin, one of my favorite players, and black will be Grandmaster Wang from Jiangsu, who is also a very nice person and a very learned player. So without further ado, let us go into this game. Now, P7 plus 1 will be the pawn opening. The pawn opening is usually reserved to refer to either P7 plus 1 or P3 plus 1. Advancing the central cannon as the first move is usually very unorthodox and very vulnerable to attacks by the enemy central cannon. If P1 plus 1 were played, it would be called the one-horn monster opening. If P9 plus 1 were played, it would be called the nine-tailed tortoise opening. These two openings are also considered to be unorthodox and usually frowned upon in actual play, and they are very, very seldom seen, especially in major competitions in China. However, the pawn opening has become very popular for the past 30 years. When I was playing Xiangqi, I started playing Xiangqi back in the 1980s. The pawn opening was just starting to become popular and not much was known. And to be very frank, I do not have much experience with this opening, but it has grown into a major opening system of its own, and it now is perhaps the second most used Xiangqi opening in major competitions all over the world. Black's counter would be called the Thundering Cannon. This would be a direct translation of the Chinese Lei. There are several Chinese terms. One would be 猪底炮, whereby which would mean the cannon hiding behind the pawn. Lei is another synonym that is used by some of the people in China. Now, red will continue with central cannon. Now, one of black's most direct counter against the pawn opening would be that black would now target elephant. However, in doing so, because this intersection was now occupied by the cannon, black cannot. It would be impossible for black to develop both horses as proper horses for the screen horse defense, and usually black would have to develop this horse as an edge horse or as an elephant eye horse, and because of this fact, the central pawn will be weakened, and red would usually have a slight advantage in most variations. However, the thundering cannon or the thundering cannon defense is still considered to be the most potent and viable option for black when going up against the pawn opening. So usually the right elephant is played, and other than this move, h2 plus 3 to develop the right horse as a proper horse, or even simply capturing the central pawn, or h8 plus 7, developing the left horse as a proper horse, daring black to push the pawn forward, or a6 plus 5, or even e7 plus 9 are all commonly played variations. And usually, black would continue with r9 plus 1. The main idea would be to develop the left chariot and allow it to cross to the other flank, where black would try to concentrate material early and target red's left flank very early in the game. In the match, Grandmaster Lv Qin decided to capture the central pawn. Now, in doing so, black would have to move an advisor, and by moving an advisor, the black chariot would not be able to cross the palace and concentrate material on this flank. This is not so commonly seen and not so popular. Usually, red would develop his right horse as h2 plus 3, and as can be seen from the variations given, this is a very complex opening system, and it would be impossible to teach all in this very short video tutorial. Instead, please go through the material that I've presented on my website. So after c5 plus 4, Black could play a4 plus 5. Now a6 plus 5 would not be a good idea because it would the left black chariot was already developed. If you were to play a6 plus 5, black would be denied the chance of developing this chariot as r1 equals to 4 for the kingside chariot. Another h2 plus 3 is the most commonly seen move. Recently, especially in the past 1 or 2 decades, r1 plus 2 has also been seen. Again, this would be another interesting option whereby red would try to move his chariot across the palace and target black's right flank very early in the game, and this would lead to many different variations. Please see the board. And Grandmaster Wang chose to play the elephant eye horse to threaten the red cannon. Now, because red had captured the central pawn, he would have gained a pawn. However, some momentum might be lost because the black horse would now threaten to capture the cannon, which will force it to move away. And when the pawn and the cannon moves away, black would usually gain some form of initiative or get some form of momentum in the game. So this, the whole line of thinking behind the pawn opening versus the thundering defense is quite, it's not the same as what you would get from the same direction cannons or the opposite direction cannons, or the central cannon versus the screen horse defense opening system, or the central cannon versus the sandwich horse defense system. The pawn opening will be a whole new ball game of its own. So usually when h2 plus 4 is played, red would retreat his cannon c5 minus 1, as can be seen in the variation. So if this was so, red could also play r1 equals to 2, and this is one commonly seen variation, which is very complicated and cannot be explained so easily in this one game. But as can be seen, by giving up the central pawn, black would actually be faster in the development of his major pieces. The left horse would be a weakness, and is usually developed as an edge horse. But black would have his defenses up very early in the game. So this would lead to very complicated situations, and there have been many games that have been played in this manner. So after c5 minus 2, Grandmaster Wang chose to place r9 equals to 6 to develop his left chariot, file chariot, and Grandmaster Wang perhaps he had some pressure facing one of the greatest of all time, Grandmaster Lv Qin. He decided to play r6 plus 3, which was much more of a steadfast approach. And Grandmaster Lv Qin at this point in time played c5 equals to 3. At this point in time, red would still enjoy a slight initiative, but black would still have a very playable game. After c5 equals to 3, black would play r8 plus 2, c8 plus 2, sorry. And then red would consolidate his defense, and black would develop his left horse as a proper horse. Red would try to get some momentum on his left flank going, and in the match, black chose to link his horses up in this manner. It would not be a good idea to play r1 equals to 2, because the red cannon and chariot would now be applied, would have formed a blockade to apply pressure and limit the development of this chariot. And after a few rounds, this right horse, the red horse would now have lines to develop, and it could still be anybody's game, but red would have enjoy a slight advantage at this point. So a4 plus 5 was played, r1 equals to 4, whereby black would develop his chariot as a kingside chariot, and Grandmaster Lv Qin chose to draw first blood with this check. This, in hindsight, this move would not seem to be a good move because although it would seem very aggressive, red would have trouble trying to further his attack because black's defense was simply too consolidated. Instead, c8 equals to c8 equals to 6 was suggested in the magazine. Now, at this point in time, red would enjoy a slight advantage of about 150 points, but black would still have a playable position, and the development of the black pieces would be superior to red's. So c8 plus 7 was played. And black chose to block the elephants with this move. Now red would try to threaten or add pressure along the central file with this move. Black would choose to play h5 plus 6, a pin, and black would continue to link his horses up in this manner. And finally, red would decide to attack the bottom rank with c8 equals to 9, probably with his chariot and cannon combination. The king would have to be moved to safety, and red would play c3 equals to 2, preparing to play p3 equals to 1 to gain material, whereby there's a horse and chariot will now be threatening to capture the black horse. This cannon could also retreat and chase away the black chariot if needed be. And at this point in time, black chose to link his chariots up in this manner. And however, in hindsight, this would not seem to be a good move because after making this move, red will actually enjoy a slight and increased advantage of about 300 to 350 points. Now, in the book, it was suggested that black should have played r6 minus 2, so that after playing r4 plus 3 to block the horse, black could actually go for the elbow horse attack, and his chariot was now protected. And after trading material, black would actually threaten to checkmate with the elbow horse attack with h8 plus 7 followed by c8 equals to 6. However, black chose to play r6 equals to 4, and this gave red a chance to open up to increase his initiative. r4 plus 2 was played to protect the horse, and black went for the elbow horse, and red played very nicely by retreating his horse, so that if the elbow horse were come, black could play h2 plus 4. Okay. Now this was a very interesting move because red would not dare to push p3 plus 1, or the black horse would capture the chariot. So at this point in time, red would finally start his attack with r8 plus 9. So after r8 plus 9 was played, red would start to increase his initiative in the game. Check. And red very boldly decided to capture the advisor, opening up the black defense. Now this was a very powerful move. Perhaps it did not catch, perhaps it was something that black did not anticipate or neglected. So from here on, it will be Grandmaster Lv Qin's time to perform and give us a very nice kill. Check. Sorry, a block. And black continued by capturing the central pawn. It was at this time that red blundered slightly with r4 plus 2. Now this was quite a big blunder. Instead, r4 plus 6 should have been played, as red would have been faster in delivering the gaining a win or delivering a kill. Unfortunately, or fortunately for red, black did not capitalize on this mistake. Instead, black made a mistake with p3 plus 1. c3 plus 3 should have been played, as red would now threaten to capture the chariot and form a skewer. Now, the first question to answer would be, could red have captured this horse? The answer would be no, because it would be a kill. Check, mate. So it would be a very simple checkmate. So that is why black cannot, the chariot cannot leave this file. And r6, that was why red decided to attack with r4 plus 4. Now, at this point in time, black should have, if c3 plus 3 were played, black would have turned the tables entirely and would have gained an advantage of well over 1,600 points, which was basically a winning position for black. Unfortunately, black did not see this move and chose to play p3 plus 1. If in this case, if red did not capture, another variation that was given was r4 plus 4. Again, black would go for the kill, as now the central cannon would threaten to deliver a check and also protect the advisor for the time being. So this was a very powerful move that both defended and attacked. Unfortunately, black did not see this move and countered with a very huge blunder with b3 plus 1, and this move gave red a reprieve. And the idea behind this move was that black was prepared to capture the pawn and go for the smothered, or threaten with a smothered cannon checkmate. Unfortunately, red was simply faster in the kill. The check was delivered, forcing the advisor to move. Perhaps instead, a5 plus 6 to move the advisor to this chariot might have been even better for black, but nonetheless, black decided to retreat his advisor, and red proceeded to deliver a check. And finally, red made a very, very beautiful move with this discovered attack. Now, at this point in time, by the 25th ply, black after much thinking, decided to resign, because now red would be threatening to checkmate with r4 +5, and if the king moved, the red cannon would capture the chariot, and black would be in all sorts of trouble. So that was why black resigned, and this was a very exciting match that went to and fro. But unfortunately, as they say, the person who makes the last mistake would lose the game. So unfortunately, it was black in this case, and Grandmaster reaching escape barely with a win. It was very unfortunate that black did not see c3 +3. So I hope you've enjoyed this short video tutorial. Sorry, something I forgot to explain. If black captured the chariot, checkmate, or even faster, checkmate. So that is why black resigned. So I hope you have enjoyed this short video tutorial. If you like the work that I'm doing, it's like 2 AM now. Please subscribe to my channel.